Hey math kids, today we're going to talk about some trig identities. Actually we're going to focus on just one. So this is called the Pythagorean identity. And the reason is it follows the same pattern as the Pythagorean theorem. Because if we said 1 squared, that's the same thing as 1. Okay? Some other facts we need to discuss. Cosine of theta is considered an x. Sine of theta is considered y. And then tangent can also be written as sine over cosine or y over x. Okay? The reasoning on this, I won't go too in depth on this, but in your next math class, you probably will. So if we have a unit circle, which means that the radius is 1, so if I draw this right triangle right here, do you see how this is on the x-axis? So the value right here is the x value of this point. And then this is the y value. So we have side x, side y, and the hypotenuse is 1. If we go through SOHCAHTOA, we get sine, if I call this theta, sine theta equals opposite, which is y, over the hypotenuse, which is 1, or just y. So that's why sine is y. Cosine theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which x over 1 just simplifies to x. That's why cosine is x. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent, and since y was sine and x was cosine, we can also say that's sine over cosine. Okay? Now let's just try a problem. So it says, given that sine theta is equal to 4/5, and we know that we're in quadrant 2, find cosine of theta. So we're always going to start with the Pythagorean identity. Then we're going to plug things in. So this can be simplified though to y squared plus x squared equals 1. And this is a y value, and we're trying to find an x value. Okay. So if we plug in the y value, we get 4/5 squared plus x squared equals 1. We square the top, square the bottom, so we get 16 over 25 plus x squared equals 1. Continue with the algebra. We're going to subtract 16 over 25. If I think of the 1 as 25 over 25, 25 minus 16 is 9. So this becomes x squared equals 9 over 25. We square root both sides, and so x equals plus or minus 3/5. Now this is not our answer yet. These are our two possible answers. Now what we need to do is we need to look at this piece where it said that our answer is in quadrant 2. So if we think of it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're over here. Now since this is an x value, we need to know what type of x values are in quadrant 2. Those are, x values are negative, because this would be the negative x-axis. And so our answer has to be negative. And so x equals negative 3/5. But then to answer the question the way it was asked, we need to say cosine theta equals negative 3/5. Okay? Now, let's try another one. So this time we're given that cosine of theta equals 2/3. And we're in quadrant 4 this time. And they want us to find tangent. Okay, so if you remember, tangent is sine over cosine. So tangent theta is sine theta over cosine theta. So to find tangent, we first need to find sine. Okay, so we're going to set up the Pythagorean identity, and I'm just going to do the simple version. Y squared plus x squared equals 1. This is an x value. This is a y value that we're trying to find. So we have y squared plus 2/3 squared equals 1. Square the top and the bottom. So that's 4 over 9. Bring this over, minus 4 ninths, minus 4 ninths. I'm going to think of the 1 like it's 9 over 9. 9 minus 4 is 5. And then y squared equals 5 ninths. Square root both sides. Y equals plus or minus the square root of 5 over 3. Since 5 is not a perfect square, I need to keep it under a square root, but 9 was a perfect square, so I can write it as 3. Okay, once again, this is not our final answer, but these are our two possible answers. We think about quadrant 4, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And since this is a y value, our y values are negative. So this is our y-axis, this is the negative y-axis, and they're negative when we're in that quadrant. So y is equal to negative root 5 over 3. And once again, this is not our answer, but this is helping us. So now we know our sine and our cosine. So sine is negative square root of 5 over 3. Okay, not done yet. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? Just zoom out. There we go. So we need to use this information and this information to find this information. So tangent theta is equal to sine theta over cosine theta. Our sine was negative square root of 5 over 3. Our cosine was 2 over 3. So that looks messy. It's like a really weird looking double fraction thing. But we can rewrite this as negative square root of 5 over 3 divided by 2/3. Then this is the same as saying negative square root of 5 over 3 times 3/2. And so we have a 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, those cancel. So it's negative square root of 5 over 2, and that's our tangent value. Okay? That's pretty much all you need to do your homework. If you need additional help, please come to Math Lab. Until then, calculator.